to this particular conversation. Maybe this is the first time that you're hearing about it and you want more before we go into the crux of the conversation for today. The Student Loan Act 2023 provides easy access to higher education for Nigerians through student loan. An act to repeal the Nigerian Education Bank Act, Cap N104, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Student Loan, that's Access to Higher Education Act 2023, to provide easy access to higher education. Basically, you have access to funds to pay for your education, and then 2 years post NYSC, meaning you would have finished school, you'd have gone for your NYSC, and 2 years after you are done with your NYSC, you now start paying back, provided you have a job. All right, provided you have a job. But that's just, putting it as simple as possible. That is, there's a lot to actually delve into as regards this particular one. But we also have here breaking the fact that the federal government is to ease access to student loan in a new bill that has been sent by the president to the National Assembly. All right. So we're also going to be having a conversation with our guest today as regards, the reservations. Yes, the reservations that the education community has or have as regards, the student loan scheme. We've gotten quite a lot. So we're going to be speaking with Mr. Hassan Taiwo Soweto, who is the National Coordinator of Education Rights Campaign. He's going to be sharing his thoughts and also, thoughts generally from the education community as regards the student loan scheme and, the back and forth that we've been having as regards the bill being passed by the Assembly and also, the delay in the launch of the student loan scheme. So, student loan funding source, 1% of all collectible revenue from the FIRS is to fund the scheme. Student applicants can no longer be disqualified based on their parents' loan history. So these are updates as regards the student loan. There's no need to go back to the original one since this is the most recent one. These are the updates that have been made to the bill by the president and has been sent to the National Assembly. So before, the hurdles of a guarantor, a parent's debt profile, the guarantor requirement. So applicants to fund may apply for loans to cover tuition and other fees payable to the school. We also have here removal of family income threshold condition. So on eligibility criteria for applicants, the new bill now removes family income threshold to enable Nigerian students to apply for loans. Also here, loan repayments and forgiveness in case of death of beneficiary. So on repayment of loan, the bill indicates that beneficiaries of the fund shall begin as soon as the beneficiary becomes employed in any capacity, and according to the bill, the fund shall not initiate loan recovery efforts until 2 years after the completion of the National Youth Service Corps program, NYSC. Although there have been some, society organizations who are trying to come forward, 2 years is too short. Why not 5 years after or 5 years post NYSC? But then a beneficiary may request an extension of enforcement action by the fund by providing an affidavit indicating that is not employed. So 2 years after, your NYSC, you can prove or provide an affidavit that you don't have a job at the moment, you can't make payment. There is there is the criteria where you can actually request for an extension of enforcement. So they don't come to you 2 years after when you don't have a job yet. Also, there's also provision for loan forgiveness in the event of death or acts of God causing inability to pay. Also, we have false declaration attracts 3 years jail term. Now, this means is that any person who provides a false statement to the fund under the loan repayment section is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 3 years. So you started working 2 years after NYSC. Don't go and lie that you don't have a job. That's just one of it anyways. Also, establishment of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund. The bill seeks to establish NEL Fund as a body corporate to receive, manage, and invest funds to provide loans to Nigerians for higher education, vocational training, and skills acquisition, and for related matters. So, higher education, vocational training, and skills acquisition. An establishment of NEL Fund can sue and be sued in its name and has the power to acquire, hold, and dispose of movable and immovable property for the purpose of its functions. And we also have here, the bill establishes a justice and fairness provision mandating the board to ensure minimum national spread of loans approved and disbursed each year. So equity is very important. All regions must be captured. All the 6 geopolitical zones must be captured in the disbursement of funds in this loan project. NEL Fund can legally enter contracts, including loan agreements, and may also initiate action to ensure repayment by beneficiaries. And also, NEL Fund has been empowered to provide loans to qualified Nigerians for tuition fees, charges, upkeep during their studies in approved tertiary education institutions, vocational and skills acquisition institutions in Nigeria. And that's dated 18th March 2024. All right. So that is what we have as regards, the ease of access to student loan in the new bill that has been sent by the President to the National Assembly. Well, if you have your thoughts or your contribution as regards everything that I just reeled out, you're free to drop your comments in the live chat section on our Facebook. We're currently live on Facebook. We may not be able to take messages, WhatsApp messages and all. But much later on, as the show progresses, we'll take phone calls. But if you want to drop contributions or you have thoughts or a question dropped, whilst the conversation is going on, you can drop your comments in the live chat section on Facebook at Mainland 98.3 FM and on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. We're live currently on the Big Talk. So that's the intro. We'll take a short break. And when we come back, we have our guest joining in via the phone line as we have a conversation as regards the Nigerian student loan scheme. All right. So please stay with us. This is Mainland 98.3 FM.
This is the Big Talk with Omobola Sandra.
When the airwaves in your market become more and more crowded, it's time to break it open and really stand out. Broken Air is here.
On Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Here is easy to bring normalcy and redecorate. It's more difficult.
The general elections in 2023 have created conversations and consequences that will live with us for years to come.
Better objective for the party. And let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that, gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded parties that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Awolowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PRP of Rimi? Political parties must be nurtured. They must be reinvented. They must be true to their own
Okoyemi Akinode and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday, 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies, and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics.
To get started,
All right, thank you for staying with us. It is still the Big Talk on Mainland 98.3 FM. I appreciate. Don't forget, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can, join the conversation there. Drop your comments or your questions in the live chat section. Yes, my name still remains Omobola Sandra, and it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for this morning. Mr. Hassan Soweto is the National Coordinator, Education Rights Campaign, and he'll be giving us, from the education field, their thoughts as regards the Nigerian student loan scheme. Good morning, Mr. Hassan. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's get into it. I know that there are some research that, or you've done some research on the student loan scheme. There are reservations that you have, but before we go into all of that, initially when the bill was brought to fore last year June, what was the first thing that went through your mind when you heard of the student loan scheme, given that this is something that a lot of people had been saying, oh, this thing is done in America, it will make things easier for a lot of people here. So what was the first thing that came to your mind when the information broke as regards the student loan scheme?
Well, the first thing really from someone who has been campaigning for better funding of public education for years, the first thing that came to my mind was that we were being taken or going to be taken for a ride. That was the first thing. And I said this because apart from the removal of fuel subsidy, the student loan was like the most principal policy decision.
Oh, yes.
That the present government of President Pᴏʟɪᴛᴜ took. And if you know the political history of the political tendency that President Tinubu comes from, then you would be sad that those who call themselves the children of political children of Awolowo, when they are in government now, they are not even able to stand up to the basic principles that Awolowo stood for. Why he was politically alive and active in the country. Free education was a major legacy of that period. So that when you then have those who call themselves political children come to power, and instead of talking about increasing, funding to public education, taking revolutionary steps to the provision of public education, what they are saying is student loan. Then it's like, oh, okay, now we are about to be taken for another wide ride. And it's been a wide ride, really, from that time to now. Going by all of the controversies, the multiple postponement, and now the indefinite postponement of the scheme.
All right. Thank you very much. So what exactly were your reservations, as regards, because even before, the criteria, the conditions, the eligibility conditions, or even before Nil Fund was set up, you had your reservations. So what exactly were your reservations as regards the student loan scheme?
Well, we had the 10 principal points of reservation. Something which we put together in a document in December last year, which we titled 10 Reasons Why Tinubu Student Loans is Scam. And the first government to invade is rich or the poor. We also think that it will transform public education into business and students into customers. Then afterwards, we also think that the student loan scheme has not worked anywhere else across the world. So that why should it now work in a country like Nigeria? Then we think that it will only cater for a minority of the indigent student population. And then we also think that the student loan will now resolve the problem of access, even for those minority of students that are able to obtain it. We also think that it will subject its beneficiaries to lifelong indebtedness, on the line of what we have in the United States, for instance, where the average number of years. So we also think that before jobs in the education sector to be cut. And the number 10 reason is that we think that the student loan is based on false assumptions that Nigeria is too poor to fund public education. But our own findings, we don't think that Nigeria is too poor, to fund education. We think what Nigeria is too poor for is actually the greed of those who are leading the country. Because when you look at it, this country is practically swimming an ocean of wealth. The only challenge is that wealth is trapped in the hands of a few and not made available for things that will benefit the mass majority. And at the end of that research work, we then provided what we thought are alternatives to the student loan, alternative sources of funding that can ensure that government has the resources that it needs instead of imposing the student loan.
Do you mean alternative source of funding for the student loan or alternative source of funding for public education?
For public education, which will remove the need for a student loan. Because if they say that they need a student loan because government does not have enough resources, we then identify resources that are just lying there being wasted that could actually be harnessed, to provide the resources into the provision public education, and that will remove the need, for a student loan. And when we did our calculation, we realized that this government can raise an extra sum of 1.7 trillion naira as additional funds, to support funding of public education. That is different from the budgetary allocation to education at all. But this 1.7 trillion would have to be sourced from the tax and allowances and the privileges, of political office holders. I mean, for instance, why should President Tinubu and the Vice President have to renovate their residences every few years? For instance, why should the vehicles be bought every few years for public office holders? Why should the political office holders, especially the members of the National Assembly, collect so much money as salaries and allowances when average workers on the street are only, surviving with a minimum wage? Why should we have a contract system which is costing this country more than 1.3 trillion naira in wasted resources, in looted resources on an annual basis? These are all the monies and leakages we identified that if they are gathered together will amount to 1.7 trillion naira that can be put to good use, that is supporting, the funding of public education. And we've made this thing available since December. The government has continued to ignore it, and that is why it is very, laughable as far as we are concerned, that the government is now going back to go and reenact the student loan without even taking cognizance of some of these very important recommendations that groups like us, groups like ASU, have made to this government in order to be able to resolve the crisis in public education.
Okay, so it wasn't just Education Rights Campaign that came out with this. There were other stakeholders that were involved in the putting together of this particular, memorandum.
Yes, exactly. ASU is involved. The CAPA is involved. The Joint Action Fund is involved. The CID is involved. All the groups that are opposed to the student loan, are involved in formulating this idea of what could be done, as an alternative.
All right. Thank you very much. It's very interesting that you have already provided alternative funding options for public education, since, that's what, the federal government is riding on as regards why there is a need for student loan. But in the absence of, adequate funding, because according to the federal government, according to the new bill that has been sent by the President of the National Assembly, the funding source for the student loan is 1% of collectible revenue from the FIRS is to fund this scheme. And also some people also would argue about the ambiguity of, we don't know what's the minimum amount we can even borrow, so what exactly is the fund that we can actually, attribute to this loan scheme. So how were you able to, come up with this alternative, funding options as against what they had already said they were going to work with, for the scheme?
We did a research. We went through and reviewed government publications, even from the National Bureau of Statistics, the CBN and co. And of course, the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission. There is a ton of data, about government financial processes, about what is paid to who, about the cost of a contract, of the contract system. For instance, the new ESS chairman made a lot of revelations about how much the contract system in Nigeria is costing the country. He made those revelations, last year. These are all of the data that we put together, and we even think that our findings are even very modest because we didn't yet take cognizance of how much crude oil barrels, for instance, have been stolen, in the creeks and the IC, which are part of the lost revenue, and resources of this government that can be arrested, that can be annexed. Because, these thefts are not being done by just character thieves or touts. These are like transnational crime syndicates, comprising members of the ruling class, politicians, military generals and co, who are using their positions to just pilfer away the wealth and resources of this country. So if all of these things are actually addressed, we are going to be astounded that possibly nearly 3 trillion to 5 trillion will be the amount that can be saved from all of this. But even beyond that, and these are final recommendations in the publication. We also recommended the nationalization of the key sectors of Nigeria's economy under democratic workers' control and management. And we think that by taking this very important economic step, we'll be able to ensure that Nigeria's economy, which goes to serve the interests of big private companies and multinational companies, can actually serve the interests of Nigerians instead of us having big oil companies coming to mine our crude oil and take away the oil resources. All the money will come to the purse of Nigerian government. And we think that through this kind of measure, we are going to be astounded by the huge resources that can be released into the hands of government to begin to fix not just public education but also public health care, create a decent life for all, provide good employment, because education does not just stop at the level of just going to school. When people also leave the university, what kind of jobs do they do? That is also an important question that means that you must have a program or policies that links public education to provision of jobs to national development. That's the kind of alternative way of thinking that is required to be able to develop this country. But unfortunately, those in charge of this country are bereft of these ideas. They are clueless, they are confused, and it is part of the confusion that you see in the kind of things they are doing with the student loan right now.
All right. There's something that I also want to arrest here. The fact that you mentioned that even if the student loan is reenacted, even if all of the steps that you have, suggested, even if they are taken, that no real progress will really happen in the education sector without, looking into, public funding of universities. I mean, you had already given reasons why this would happen, or rather, you mentioned, things that can be done in order for us, rather than going into the student loan scheme, let's go into more public funding, availability of public funds for the education system. But there's something you mentioned here. I just want to quickly put that in. I want to get what you exactly mean by that. You said that the solution to the problem of public education it should be the focus.
But if you recall, we are in Q right now, and we pointed out all of the inconsistencies one by one. So what we are saying is that even if all of these inconsistencies you pointed out are addressed, possibly in a new bill, it will still not make the student loan fundamentally workable, for the interest of Nigeria's education system. And we have been proven right by what is happening now, because now there's a new bill for the National Assembly, which has tried, to sort of amend and make provision for some of the things that we have said before. For instance, in terms of the requirements for qualifying for the loan, in terms of the payment processes, in terms of some of these other things. The president has said that they have tried to make provisions for this in the new bill. But the point you are making is that even if all of these provisions are made, the idea of a student loan itself means that this scheme will not work. Because what the idea of a student loan means is that government no more wants to fund public education. Government is abdicating its social responsibility towards the funding of education. Government is now saying that only those who can get a loan will be able to go to school. If you can't get a loan, then you must be able to have a fat back account somewhere to be able to go to school. And that has also been confirmed by what has happened so far in the last 7 months. If you noticed, fees have increased by over 300% across campuses since the student loan was signed into law June 12 last year. In fact, in a particular campus called the College of Nursing of Fᴜဃᴜ University Teaching Hospital Ilefe in Osun State, in December last year, fees was increased on that campus from 140,000 naira to 840,000 naira. What this means is that the students in those campuses, they are faced with two options. Either they are able to qualify for the student loan when it becomes operational, so that they can be able to, remain in school, or otherwise they will have to go and find money to pay. And because the student loan now will only benefit only a minority of the indigent student population, it means that almost on every campuses, we are going to find tens of thousands of students who are not able to qualify for the student loan and yet have to now start looking for money to pay FT fees. And that is why we think that at the end of the day, this student loan will still lead to mass dropout of students. And it's very interesting that the Student Loan Act says that its aim is to expand access to university. So in the real sense of the word, what this loan will do will be to block access, will be to restrict access, will be to lead to mass dropout of Nigerian students, a decline in enrollment, and obviously the death of public education in this country. And the point we are making is that the future for our youth should not be a future of lifelong indebtedness. It should not be said that this country cannot provide for its country's youth, and they can only provide the education for them if they are prepared to mortgage themselves into a lifelong indebtedness. That should not be the country called Nigeria, a country that is flowing in all of its citizens, but above all, must not start providing for its youth. The youth are the future of this country. It's because you have not provided for them. That is why you have insecurity. That is why you have crime. That is why you have crisis. But with a student loan, this crisis will even get worse. Well, more people will drop out of university system, and that means that you have nothing else to do except to go to life of crime. We are rejecting that future, and that's why we have to take a stand now and fight back for better funding of public education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. You're listening to The Big Talk on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're having a conversation as regards, the Nigerian student loan scheme. It's quite an eye-opening one where we have here that the Education Rights Campaign and other education stakeholders have been able to put together 10 points as to why they don't think this, student loan scheme should fly at all, and the fact that the government should rather focus on public funding for education and a democratic management of schools. All right, let's now look at this, Mr. There's one point I'm also taking away from your memorandum is conversion of the student loan into a grant to support the living expenses of students. How, what do you mean by that?
Well, what it means basically is that this student loan can still be salvaged because obviously government has put money for it. But we think the only way it can be salvaged is to utilize it to support the living cost of students. Because across campuses today, Nigerian students are not just faced with the crisis of paying school fees. They are equally faced with the crisis of even surviving on campus. Many students are going hungry every day because the condition of their parents, who are majorly working class parents, has gone bad over the last 10 months because of the economic crisis, because of the cost of living crisis. And this is reflecting adversely on the conditions of students themselves. Most parents can barely afford the school fees. So once they are even able to do that, they don't even have anything to give to their wards as their allowance. So many of our young people are being forced to a life of crime in order to be able to staunch the hunger that they face. And of course, for our female students, we are having them involved in prostitution and all kinds of social vices. This kind of life is not something that we should want for our young people. And that is why, if you have the conversion of this student loan into a living cost, it will help to ensure that students are sustained in the university to be able to concentrate, on their study, do their tests, attend lectures, do their examinations, and of course be able to come out in flying colors. That is why we think that a grant will be needed at this time. But in giving a grant, government also needs to now ensure that the funding of the physical infrastructure of the universities are now improved, because you can't just give a grant to students to study in an environment where they don't even have the facilities to work with. Laboratories are denuded of relevant materials. The libraries are empty. On most campuses today, there are no Bunsen burners in many of the laboratories. They are still using kerosene stove, as Bunsen burners, because they don't have enough enough materials. There are no reagents in most of these laboratories in our public university and qualitative development of the country.
We'll be right back. It is from the break. The phone line will be open, this student loan scheme. Don't forget that we're also live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. So you can drop your contributions and your comments in the live chat section on those platforms as well. We'll be right back. This is Mainland 98.3 FM.
Get ready for the hottest show in town. Tune in to Mainland 98.3 FM for the ultimate talk experience. It is time for the big talk. Join Omobola Sandra every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we dive into the forefront of the most sizzling topics, from glitz and glamour of entertainment to the nitty-gritty of politics, to the latest trend in fashion and lifestyle. The big talk covers it all. The big talk, hosted by the dynamic presenter Omobola Sandra. The big talk guarantees to keep you entertained, informed, and hooked. Get ready for engaging conversations and a whole lot of fun. Don't miss out on the pulse of the city on Mainland 98.3 FM. The big talk, where every topic is a big deal.
Hello Lagos, I am SP Benjamin Hundeyi, Police Public Relations Officer, Lagos State Command. You are listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. If you see something, say something.
It's easy to bring normalcy and redecorate. It's more difficult.
General elections in 2023 have created conversations and consequences that will live with us for years to come. From the executive to the judiciary, legislature, media, and the people, organized labor, and civil society organizations, issues that will continue to shape the future of our country needs continuous probing and interrogation.
I see the greater objective for the party, and let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that, gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded parties that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Awolowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PRP of Rimi? Political parties must be nurtured, they must be reinvented, they must be true to their own
ᴏᴜᴛᴜᴇᴅ and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies, and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics.
To get started,
The big talk, where every topic is a big deal.
All right, thank you for staying with us. It is still Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. The big talk continues, and the conversation is still on the student loan scheme. And I have joining me via the phone line, National Coordinator of Education Rights Campaign, Mr. Hassan Taiwo Soweto. Let's not forget very quickly, June 2023, the President signed a bill to start a student loan fund that would give interest-free loans to Nigerians for higher education. And in recent time, well, I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth. It was supposed to have started September, October. Then we had a December deadline, we had a January deadline, and then we had another. We just keep having deadlines and all. And, you know, people are beginning to be a little bit wary as regards the practicability of the student loan scheme. But then with the establishment of NEL Fund, that's Nigeria Education Loan Fund, we've been getting some statements that, oh yes, there's been a postponement, but it's not indefinite. There's still workings ongoing as regards updates and changes being made to it. And the student loan funding source, according to this new bill, is 1% of FRS collectible revenue, We also have, students are no longer disqualified based on their parents' loan history. We also have removal of family income threshold, loan repayment, and loan forgiveness in case of death beneficiary. We also have false declaration attracts 3-year jail term, and also the establishment of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. So there's a lot to take away from that. But in my conversation with Mr. Hassan Taiwo Soweto, he's had quite a lot of reservations as regards, the student loan scheme. Do you agree? Or do you actually see, or do you actually see or understand what the federal government is trying to push with this student loan scheme? Because we can all agree that the moment the student loan scheme was announced and all of that, school fees skyrocketed because the anticipation of, don't worry, people should be able to afford school fees as by the time the loan scheme would come on board, so there shouldn't be any problem. But then Education Rights Campaign is saying, and other education stakeholders are saying, this is just going to make it difficult for a whole lot more people, especially with the economic hardship that a large chunk of Nigerians are going through at this time. So do you have reservations, or do you actually believe in the practicability of the student loan scheme? Let's have a conversation. The phone line is open, 0913-6000-410, 0913-6000-410. That is the number to call. And also we're live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM, so you can drop your questions or your comments as we progress on the program. 0913-6000-410, Nigerian Student Loan Scheme. All right. Okay, we have a call already. Hello. Hello.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
This is Bamishile from Ijibo.
Bamishile from Ijibo.
Yes.
All right.
The student loan scheme, I don't really see it as practically workable.
Okay.
Because before you say such a thing, there must have been a solid framework. But the framework was not even there when it was announced last year. And up till now, what is the framework from the National Assembly to back up the loan scheme? What is the data of students in our schools? Which bank will operate this loan scheme? What personnel will be used for this loan scheme? So all these things are just shrouded in secrecy that is giving people like me, that is the educational sector, a lot of concern.
Okay.
I taught at the nursery school, I taught at the primary school, I taught at the secondary school, I taught at college because I'm teaching in the university as I'm talking to you. So there are a lot of things that is not clear. How many people that in the education sector are involved? Who is going to manage the loan scheme? How much will we go to each student that is eligible? Until all these things are addressed, this loan scheme is another area for people to just enjoy themselves. Yeah, so good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Bamishile. I appreciate you calling in and sharing your contribution. 0913-6000-410, 0913-6000-410. That is the number to call for us to have a conversation. Do you agree with Mr. Bamishile and Mr. Taiwo Hassan as regards, this student loan scheme? That's a teacher that called then. Okay, yes, we have Mr. Hassan back on air. Hello.
Madam Sandra, how are you?
Oh, good morning, Barrister Peter.
Yeah, God bless you.
Yes.
I've been following your discussion on this issue. I think it can actually work if it is well organized.
Okay. How do you know?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, it requires a lot of sincerity on behalf of those who are going to manage the scheme. The reason I'm saying it is that anything like any program like this requires a lot of integrity. Like by the participants, both the students or the loan beneficiaries and those who are going to handle the officials.
Okay.
I benefited from my students' loan scheme in the US. And, we were very religious in paying back. Because it is when you pay back what you benefited from the scheme that new people can benefit. But sometimes you find out a situation that most of those people who benefited are not willing or able to pay back. So my suggestion is that the loan scheme, if well organized, what I mean by that is that the scheme has to tie the tithe together with the job scheme. If that one is a student doesn't mean that you cannot work. Okay. There has to be a sort of work study program whereby the students will use their extra hours. It's not every time the people go to class. When you have some hours free, it can also be tied to employment. You gain work experience. So that when you don't wait till you finish school before you start looking for a job, and when there's no job experience.
Right.
So while schooling, you can gain job experience, which will enable you gain employment immediately as you finish the listing. So that's why I'm saying that the organization is very important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay. We still have Mr. Hassan Taiwo with us via the phone line, just in case anyone has any question for him. Okay. We have another one there. Okay. Hello. Hello. All right, we lost that one. All right, Mr. Hassan, just a quick one. Before the, before all of the, modalities as regards the student loan scheme, before it was put together, was there, a conference with the education community as regards, the workability of it by the federal government? Were you called to a conference or anything?
No, they had no discussion or consultation with anyone. The only time they had to organize a summit, which they called Legislative Summit in August last year. That was after the act has been signed into law, and all of the absurd contradictions, were exposed by us. Of course, that compelled the House of Rep ad hoc committee to organize a summit in August. But then, even though we made presentations and none of this was followed at the end of the day. Rather, an attempt was made to just impose the act the way it was until a few weeks ago that they then realized that they had to go for a repeat. So no, we were not consulted. We were not.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. 0913-6000-410. That is the number to call if you still have your 2 cents to drop as regards the conversation for today. It is still the big talk on mainland 98.3 FM, and we are discussing the Nigerian loan scheme. 0913-6000-410. That is the number to call, and let's have a conversation. All right. So as we await the next, contribution or the next listener to join in. Okay. Hello. Turn down the volume of your radio.
Hello?
Your radio volume, please. Okay, thank you. Good morning. Hello? Did we lose that? Okay, I think we did. All right. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, could you please turn down the volume of your radio set?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Black Village location.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Your name, please?
Yeah. My name is Mɪᴅ-ᴡᴇᴇᴜ. I'm calling from Isolo.
Okay.
And I've been following your program. My take or my how do I put it? Is it my issue with this student loan issues. Now, I think part of the condition is that the children will have to, or the student will pay back after 2 years after NYC.
Yes.
I want to ask.
As long as Nigeria.
Okay, as long as they have a job.
Yes.
So even if it takes that person like 3 years, 4 years to get a job, they're not going to disturb the person, right?
But you have to go and notify them that you don't have a job yet.
Okay, because that is where I have issue that if you're saying 2 years and you know what Nigeria is today, you finish, you get a job, what's going to happen? And then I like what the gentleman on your studio said about this thing killing free education. That means that government will stop funding free education. I'm telling you, because that's what it's going to mean. That's what they're heading for. And already an average Nigerian is stressed up. What is going to happen? What is going to happen to we that are managing to keep our children in school? Like I went to a public school, my kids went to public school. So what is going to happen to the people that are coming? Because that is where it's going to end up. So I support what that gentleman said. That is where it's going to the whole thing is heading. So thank you very much. I'm enjoying your program, and I want to say thumbs up. Okay, keep bringing more people with better enlightenment to help us understand what the government agenda and their program is, so that we won't come out and start talking from both sides of our mouth. God bless you, my sister. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doaka. I appreciate your contribution and your insights as well. Hello, good morning. Did we lose that? Hello? I think we did. Okay. Well, we still have a few more minutes to go, so you can still call in and join the conversation. 0913-6000-410. Hello. Yes, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you very much. May I know your name, please?
Am I calling
Mainland FM.
But I'm interested in the topic.
Loan scheme, student loan scheme.
Yeah.
Okay, your name, sir?
My name is Enoch.
Your name is?
Enoch from Innocent.
Innocent from?
From Ketu.
All right, please go on, Mr. Innocent. Well, we can hear you.
So what I'm saying is that this student loan scheme or whatever, I heard what the other people are saying, that they are trying to kill education. So one thing about it is that this government is not serious, and nobody should follow whatever they are saying. You understand? All of them are beneficiaries of free education in Nigeria. But today they are trying to destroy the future of Nigerians. So I see that this is got to shift attention from what Nigerians are facing at the moment. So nobody should believe them. This thing will not work. Nigeria is not working as of today until Nigeria begins to work before this thing can be possible. So that is what I'm saying about it.
Okay.
They are just joking. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Innocent. I appreciate your take on the conversation. All right. As we begin to wrap things up, I think we can take one more phone call. If you still want to join the conversation, the number to call is 0913-6000-410. 0913-6000-410. I have a message on Facebook from Prince Leo Ozoma. Says, Sandra, good morning. The truth is that the scheme wasn't properly articulated. How do you expect a country that is servicing our debt with about 85% of our revenue to fund a huge financially demanding scheme? No wonder it has been postponed, suspended, reintroduced. As far as I'm concerned, it was a mere political campaign propaganda, and the aim for it has been achieved. And the government is only employing delay tactics to bury it finally. Government should be given deep thoughts over policy issues before pronunciations, and please don't forget the subsidy is gone saga. Leo Ozoma from Isolo, Lagos. That's the message on our Facebook platform. Thank you very much. All right, let's squeeze in one more phone call. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Am I on to Mainland FM?
Correct.
Yes. I would like to contribute to the topic.
Oh yeah.
My name.
Okay.
My name is Evidence.
Evidence.
Yes, I'm calling from Bagada.
All right, please go on.
I would like to say that this seems like a distraction, because I think the government is trying to distract the attention of the people. Because if you look at it currently, people are already taking loans to fund their education one way or the other. Yes. Now, the attention of the right to education guys who you have been talking with, one of their schools or the director there, has been the national coordinator. That attention now has been diverted to go and start researching and see the reasons why this will not work. This is just a diversion. The truth of the deal is that we are chasing shadows. We must come back to the table to know the issue with our country. Every sector is not working. What is the problem? The government has issues funding education because at the end of the day, the people in the university system, they get funds, but what they do with the funds, nobody can account for it. There's no good accountability. The universities that we have in our country, especially the federal university, they generate revenue. What happens with this revenue? Some of them have companies in the university that produce water, so decrease in that in the school environment and all of that. These revenues that you generate, what do you use it for? Yet you increase fees, you have so many fees that go unaccounted for, that students pay for, apart from the school fees. Interview an average Nigerian student and ask them how much they spend on clearance and all of that. You get a question, they're asking to pay acceptance fees. I don't understand. Was I not the one that applied for school? Why should I pay acceptance fee? I got the admission. You are asking me to pay acceptance fee again. So all of these things is what we need to check. Whether you bring the student loan or not, at the end of the day, these monies will still go unaccounted for. And it goes like that, and we will keep going through this cycle over and over and over again. We must come to the table and see how we can structure this system end to end. When monies are sent or monies are received by this university, accountability. How was this spent? Where did this come from? Where did it go to? That's what we need.
Mr. Evidence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I apologize. I had to rush you through that. We have actually run out of time. Thank you so much to everyone who was a part of the conversation this morning. Thank you. Appreciate. Mr. Hassan Taiwo Soweto, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I really appreciate the insights that you gave. I mean, painstakingly, going through all that research, giving the, recommendations, the cardinal prayer points as well, is commendable. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. And that's a wrap today on The Big Talk. Thank you for staying with us. See you next week by 10 a.m.